start with the Fabergé eggs. I probably know, you guys probably know what it is.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
This is actually a jewelry box that you can, put your jewelry in. You could stash anything pretty much from like little rings. These Fabergé eggs were actually designed from the original designs. Of course, we couldn't have the originals here, but these are, yeah, and so these are probably the pride of one of the biggest things we import and one of the holiday gift favorite,
Sure.
Nice introduction, Max.
Yeah.
Let me just interrupt for a second. And last piece I did for public television was on a political event.
Right.
And I was going around Brighton Beach area and asking Russian people what they think about political situation in Brooklyn. But this piece, it's actually such a joy to find a topic to bring to public television. And I was searching around, and this is probably the best place to find something about Russian tradition, about Russian culture.
All under one roof.
Of course.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
Brighton Beach is just, you want to eat Russian food, you want to see beautiful clothes that you won't see anywhere else. Of course, I'm the girl saying that. Boots, shoes. Even I was talking with some people, and they always tell me whenever they want to give someone a very unique gift, they go to Brighton Beach. So you can get a gorgeous tea set or a Fabergé egg. I mean, no one's going to show up to a party with the same kind of gift as you. So I love the shopping in that area. I absolutely love it. But let's talk about this beautiful tea set and how does that work all into Russian culture?
Especially New Year, it's a big holiday for Russian people. And for that, I brought specialists. Alexandra, she'll give a very, very detailed explanation why and how Russian people still follow in tradition and celebrate New Year, the holiday, the most important holiday of the year.
So how would
Put
we
us
even
on,
begin?
Alexandra.
Since we're having a little tea party over here, I just wanted to comment on some of the objects here, just in case you guys don't know what that is. Well, first of all, I wanted to mention that actually tea is the #1 beverage in Russia. It is truly the national drink, not vodka,
Not vodka.
not something else that you thought. It is actually tea. It is by far the most popular.
How much tea is like, how many, like, because we have tea in the morning, you get you going,
Yeah.
maybe once in the afternoon.
Right.
Like, how typically is
It's about
would a
like
Russian
5 tea
person have?
breaks during the
5 tea
working
breaks.
day, if not
About
worse.
that?
A cup of tea in the morning and a cup
Yeah.
of tea in the evening.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the time. So this big object in the middle of the table is called samovar, which literally means from Russian the self-boiler. It was invented in the times where people didn't have electric stoves, they didn't have gas. So all they had at home for cooking, a type of a fireplace where they would use the fire to prepare food. But it wasn't very convenient for the tea drinking because you want to stay around your table and you don't want to rush to this kitchen area and put your water. So this thing over here could be put in the center of the table, and you would put some burning materials as coal or maybe pine cones.
Yeah.
So it would boil the water right here in the
So
middle of your
in this
table.
actual thing, you
Exactly.
could keep
The
in this bit. So they're not all typically this beautiful. This is like your
Yeah,
TV.
this
so-
one
Yeah,
is painted by
yeah.
hand, and this is a modern version of it.
Great.
It plugs into the socket.
electrical.
It's
Love
electric.
it. I might need one of these in my life, Alexandra. I might need one of these, seriously.
So they're still used in Russian tea parties and traditional holidays as just a symbol, something cultural.
So tell us about New Year's Day. Why is that so important in Russian culture?
Well, basically, a New Year's Day in Russia plays the same role as Christmas in the U.S. In the Tsar's Russia, before the revolution, Christmas was pretty much the same as over here. But after the revolution, when all the religion was banned, Christmas was actually illegal. And the Santa Claus became illegal too. He was used to be called Saint Nicholas, as everywhere else. So what communists decided to do, they would actually make sure people don't celebrate Christmas. They would go around the houses, they would look in people's windows, make sure they don't have a Christmas tree out there, and that they could be actually in the serious trouble up to the sentence in prison. But after a while, they just realized it wasn't working out. They just could not fight Christmas.
fight
It was a
Christmas.
favorite holiday of all times. So what they decided to do, they decided to transform it. And they say it's not going to be a Christmas tree anymore. It's going to be a New Year's tree.
Okay.
And it is not going to be the Santa Claus. It's going to be the Father Frost who brings the holidays.
Right. He's
And
not
they-
a saint, but he's a
Exactly.
father.
Right.
And on the top of the Christmas tree, instead of the Bethlehem star, they put the star with 5 points, the communist star.
communist star. Very
And what's
smart.
interesting, they even came up with a series of ornaments with the faces of the Soviet political leaders. And as the gifts to children, were given the books on the history of the Communist Party.
Yeah.
Smart.
So up
human
to-
beings are in
It's
just
like
yeah.
it's like you can interpret it lots of
However
ways,
you
but you
want.
can't fight the spirit.
Right.
You
You
made it work somehow. you
That's
know.
right.
So what kind of things are really people coming into the store for now? What is a must-have? Like if I was to have a proper celebration
Yes.
of Christmas, what do I need from the table?
It's probably
Everything.
Yeah, well, everything.
Everything,
yeah.
right?
Pick, but this nesting doll,
Yeah.
matryoshka, is one of the
Matryoshka.
matryoshka, yeah,
Yes.
one of the most iconic gifts you can get for Russian, or if you want something Russian, this
That's
is
it.
definitely
That's
it.
the one.
And if you guys aren't familiar, these are dolls that are just doll inside a doll.
Let me just ask
Kinda like that?
our
Yeah, I
host.
know Greg has a challenge.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a little quiz. How many pieces do you think, guys, is in there?
We close it.
So
How many
How
girls
many-
are in
right.
You can
Yeah,
hold
right?
it.
Hide inside.
Get a little
Just-
bit.
How many can we fit inside of this one?
How many are?
How
Brian.
would you say, Brian?
Ladies first.
Ladies
Tati.
first.
I'm gonna say 5.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I'm
say
going
5.
7.
Seven.
Okay.
7? Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, 5 and
All
7.
right.
They're both good numbers. Well, who's gonna
Start
try
us
it out?
Well,
Start
Mark,
us
I'm
out.
gonna show you guys
Okay,
how to
show us
open
how
it.
to do
Maybe
it.
you can. Oh, if the matryoshka is too tight, normally you don't twist it. You kind of pull them apart, like a little bit
okay.
like that,
Perfect.
Okay.
and it just comes out. So
Let's count.
All right.
1.
that's one.
Does that
So
one
you wanna
count?
try
I don't know
one?
if that one counts.
Well, this
Let's
is
see.
one. Yeah,
Okay,
no,
this
it
one
counts. It counts.
I'm trying to.
She's the
You trying to change your answer now?
Okay, do
So
the
that's
next
two.
one.
Do it, go
3.
around. That's 3. The next one's up to Greg. So what is this made of? This is like a balsam kind of wood?
It's I think it's some
Four.
kind of wood, and we have
And
a
that's
little.
we got the fifth
actually,
one
a
here.
little- It's handmade.
5th? Okay, 5. Oh, 6.
5.
Oh, there's more.
Okay.
So Tati,
I'm
look at
out.
this.
And
I'm sorry.
It's live TV, folks. Don't
So-
worry. No Matryoshkas were
So
hurting.
There was
what do we
one
got
point
here?
six.
7?
Yeah, 7.
8?
Oh,
No,
come
that
on.
was-
Hey,
guys are
okay.
almost,
Guys, you're
almost
Close.
Brian's
You were
close.
closer than I was. Well done,
So,
Brian.
yeah, it's pretty
Okay,
close.
sure.
Brian.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one of the most iconic things. and,
Absolutely.
we
So
sell a
let's
lot.
also talk about this scarf that is on the table.
Yes.
This is a sort of multi-purpose, multifaceted, amazing gift that you
gorgeous.
could give.
Alexandra, would you like to say a couple words? Or?
Yeah, those scarves come from the city Pavlov Posad in
Pavlov
Russia,
Posad.
and this is one of the traditional pieces of clothes for Russian women. They were actually designed to keep women warm and beautiful
Yeah.
in Russia's cold. So it is made of 100% wool. And the designs are all very traditional. In fact, up until today, there's a special committee who decides on new designs.
Really?
So in this council, the art experts should say if that's appropriate to be introduced as a new design. All of it is done to just preserve the tradition and make sure it stays how it was hundreds of years ago.
How many are there? So this
Right.
one is approved. Obviously, it made its way to BK Live. But how many of the sort of official patterns are there? Do you know?
Lot.
I could never say
there's a lot.
exactly because some of the lines discontinue and the new designs introduced, but it's usually only like a couple of new ones each year.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very soft. It's wool, like you said, but it's very, very soft. Nothing itchy or scratchy about it.
It's produced in a similar way the Indian pashminas I made.
Ah,
They were
okay.
also designed for Himalayas where the temperatures drop pretty low.
Wow.
And this store, particular store in Brighton Beach, is 19 years old store. They just recently opened new store on Fifth Avenue, and I would like Max to tell a couple words about it.
Nice.
It was very exciting. We've been in business for 18 years up to that point, and we have a couple of locations in Brooklyn, and this was the first New York City location. So it was very we're here to stay. We got a nice spot on Fifth Avenue between 28th and 29th Street, and it's a great store. We present it as a boutique Russian store. We started it originally as a book company back in '94. But we grown our imports to everything that you see here, and to even apparel and like a lot of art, a lot of tapestries. So the New York City store has its success at the art section of the Russian culture. There's a lot of beautiful shows, both silk and woolen and stuff like that.
There's a lot of beautiful everything in Brighton.
And Max and Alexandra, I know we're a little bit outside of Cyber Monday, but since we have until January 7th to get good gifts for our Russian friends, how could we get in touch with you if you can't get down to the store?
We do have a website called FromRussia.com, very easy.
Nice.
Very easy to remember, FromRussia.com, and we have all of the merchandise there. Including anything you see here plus more, and you can get it there, and that's probably the fastest way you can get it without a hassle. And
Well, all of this stuff is gorgeous, and I love that we can find that there. But I have to say, like I said before, Brighton Beach has a lot of great stuff. You could just go walk around from goodies like Brian is munching on right now.
Feel free.
And it's awesome, and I feel like if you want a little taste of Russian culture, you gotta go down to Brighton Beach. You'll be shocked. Am I right, you guys?
Yes.
Like I enjoy it every time I'm in the neighborhood. Very
And
much
actually,
so.
this cup, Brian just touched it. It's a porcelain cup, and it's worth it to hear history about this cup.
Yeah.
Alexandra, can you expose on this, please?
The style, the blue and white pattern you see is called gzhel. It comes from the village around Moscow. So first, this was the tableware produced of clay, and later on it evolved into porcelain. So the blue and white style is a particular style of this area, so the whole village, that's their trade. That's the only thing they're doing.
Okay.
Everyone is busy with this trade.
Well, I'm glad that we get to enjoy
Yeah,
a little
they
bit
did
of
a
this
good job.
now.
Yeah, literally, like the whole village works on this.
Everyone,
They for a good 100 of years, they developed the style, and they've been known to produce only this, and like we've been one of the exporters from there, and they've been very gracious. We go there every
It's
year
wonderful.
to see how they progress, but
It's like those Smucker's
Okay.
commercials. If your last name, you're gonna make jelly. If you're
Right.
from this village, you're
yeah,
gonna
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're born to make gel porcelain for all of you guys.
And now made it all the way to here to Brooklyn. So,
Yeah.
Greg, tell us about this gift giving.
Yeah, I
that's gonna
heard
be going on. We heard.
Papa Gifts
Papa
might be,
Frost.
Papa Frost might be somewhere in
by.
the building.
Actually, it's in tradition, and every culture tradition, but particularly in Russian, when you celebrate New Year, you either come with a present, and usually if you come to somebody's house, they prepare present for you, and they give it to you as a goodwill to wish you well in New Year, and wish you wealth and health and the best. So our friends, they actually brought this gift from St. Petersburg to you, Brian.
Get out of here. Thank you so much.
So you,
guys.
Tati,
Thank you
Yeah,
so
is there-
much.
you enjoy. You can open up. It's
Well, actually, this is a
re-
part of it. Then Father Frost is going to give you the rest of your presents.
Yes.
From
And,
Russia.com, don't forget.
Thank you
that,
guys
yeah.
for inviting me. And let me be like Santa for you today. So,
Okay.
We usually call for Father Frost.
Right,
The kids
right,
usually
right,
gather
right.
around and they're
They
like,
say-
so
like,
this is from.
Like you chant, like
yeah, we literally Father Frost. Yeah.
Here you go.
This is for the
And
Now he
actually, I brought
appears.
present for everybody.
Thank you.
For our guests
awesome.
Thank you,
also.
Father Frost.
Thank you,
Thank
Father
you.
Frost.
Best day ever.
AKA
I've had chocolate.
Santa.
Here's Alexandra for you.
Thank you.
Max for
Thank
you.
you, Ded Moroz.
Спасибо, дедушка.
Yeah,
How do you
yes.
say thank
I
you in
get good to
Russian?
see it.
Спасибо.
Oh, Brian knows.
Spasibo.
And
Yeah,
actually,
that's
I have enough here for the crew,
Yay!
for the
Great.
staff,
Yeah.
and I know you guys diligently doing fantastic shows. This is, you can
Thank
pass
you
to
so
your
much.
staff.
We definitely will.
Well, somebody just got an invite back for next year.
I know. Tell me about it. Our colleagues will be
Here you
really,
go.
really excited. Thank
More
you for that.
presents.
Spasibo all around.
Yes.
Spasibo all
Thank you
around,
guys for
indeed.
coming.
And this actually present for crew also, for
Nice.
staff.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah,
It's
endless, right.
But thank you
Here
guys,
you
all
go.
of you, for joining us today on BK Live
you
and
for
giving us a
having
little
us.
taste of Russian culture for the holidays. Thank you all for
Thank
being
you
here.
for reminding us.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
So now, as Brian mentioned a little earlier, the Bimmies are coming, our first annual BK Live Awards. But when we come back, Micheal Bellamy, Doc Stanley, Eric Hicks, and Vernon Jones will take a look at how the year in Brooklyn sports went down, with moments like the Golden Gloves coming to Barclays, and don't forget, Sodagate. That was something. We'll be right back after this. You still eating? You didn't even wait for me.
Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Every year, more than 46 million people move, most using a paper form to change their address. That's a lot. In fact, it adds up to 2.5 million pounds of paper, or 21,000 trees every year. But there's something you can do. Change your address online. It's green, fast, easy, and secure. And best of all, when you use this to do this, you'll help save a whole lot of these. Learn more at greenyourmove.org.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control.
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Yes, it's over. Call it a day. Remember that song from Denise Williams? Anyway, yeah. And Johnny Mathis, right? 2013 is almost over, folks. Can you believe it? Anyway, we're going to talk about a year in sports here throughout the metropolitan area, but especially here in Brooklyn. And joining me is Doc Stanley of Sports in Depth. You can always check him out on Blog Talk Radio. Also, we have joining us is Vernon Jones, old familiar face of NYCSports.tv. And he's always here every week, talk about the NBA and other things. It's Eric Hicks of Game Over NYC and the Sty Dome. All right, first issue up. PSAL high school football, high school basketball. It was all about Lincoln High School, Abraham Lincoln High School.
That's right.
The high school of champions.
That's what you could call it. They won the championship in the basketball season. Then they came around, and for football, they won a championship. This is so Lincoln is on the rise as far as sports is concerned.
They have a program there. I mean, you have a football coach, Sean O'Connor, basketball coach, you have Dwayne Morton.
Yeah, but I think you have to give a lot of credit to the athletic director as well, Renan Ibe. She's a great athletic director. It's because it's not just basketball and football; they excel in other sports as well.
Doc, as far as about Lincoln High School winning the championship, also football, basketball.
When the last time that's happened, that you had a team win both those major sports. I think the issues that we talked about was the fact that the lack of African media that covered this game. The Amsterdam News was denied credentials. How did Howie Evans, the dean of American sports writers, the Amsterdam News, probably the most prolific black paper in all of America.
You're talking about the PSL championship?
I mean, Howie and them have credentials to the Super Bowl. We've got season credentials to the Jets and the Giants, and you can't get to a PSL football game at Yankee Stadium?
Is that also have to say something about Yankee Stadium? Also, is that a PSAL issue?
Well, I think that I would have to say that's a PSAL issue because it's a league. You have high school players that need as much exposure as they possibly can get. So you shouldn't be denying any media
Devil's
access.
advocate, shouldn't I have the right to control my own content?
It's not your own content because you're a state actor, so you really work for the city. So they're all city workers at the PSAL. So it's not their own league. They can't do that.
I think it was the Yankees PR that did that.
Right, but even so, the PSAL should go to the Yankee stadium, Yankees, and say, look, we need as much media access as we possibly can
who
get.
benefits from locking them out? I mean, you're hurting the people, and that's the students who
Well,
you're
right,
actually trying to help.
Right.
Because when you're playing high school sports, exposure is key
And
because
also,
everybody's trying to go to another
and
level.
for some of these athletes, it may be their last chance to play high school sports. Let's talk also about Dwayne Morton.
I think it's time that Dwayne really gets his props for the job that he has done at Lincoln High School. I mean, Lincoln High School year after year becomes a perennial champion, and it's about time a powerhouse. And if he's looking to move on, I think that some of the colleges need to give him a look. And I think I heard you mention that Seton Hall.
Right. So what happens, I think, in the past. Tiny Morton has been looked at as, he's not really polished. He's a street guy. But he's been getting a lot better. But there's no doubt about the fact that he wins. So he's been getting a lot better as far as his credibility. And from what I understand, he might be going to Seton Hall next year as assistant coach.
Moving forward, as far as the PSAL allowing media, as far as I heard, there was also some difficulty on the sidelines, some difficulty in particular quarters. What should they do moving forward?
Part of the problem is nobody
in 2014.
Part of the problem, nobody in the PSL understands the media. They don't understand how the media actually helps their kids, and I'm saying nobody in the PSL, nobody in the DOE, they really don't understand. You call the DOE media department, their first answer to anything is no.
Okay. Other big story also as far as media, MSG varsity gone. The major media
because they didn't understand really what they were doing. It really wasn't in it for the kids. And when you do that and you're trying to make it something else, it's not going to work.
As I travel across the country and you look at basketball, let's say, or football in the South or up and down the East Coast, high school basketball and football is huge. The media is all over it. Everybody has access, and that's how these kids get the scholarships and get to advance.
What you bring is high school athletes are bigger than the pro athletes.
Absolutely.
Doc Rivers talked about in Chicago, front page, everybody knew Isaiah Thomas.
Absolutely, and I think it's a huge thing that we're missing here in the New York City metropolitan area, and this is why a lot of our athletes don't get recruited. You don't find a lot of our high school athletes on the big-time college level.
Well, New York City, everyone, we all know New York City in general is an arrogant place. Everybody, we think we're the best, which I think we're the best in a lot of things as well. But the PSAL, again, they think they have that arrogance. We're the largest high school athletic league in the country, and we don't have to let you in. We can do this and that, but it's not their league.
All right, cool. Let's move on. Golden Gloves held at for the first time at the Barclays Center. For years, they were held at Madison Square Garden. This year, they were held up the street. Championship. Golden Gloves Championship.
Yeah, and you talk about some of the greatest fighters in history of the sports, Sugar Ray Robinson, Mark Breland, Tyson. The Barclays Center has become the place to showcase, because sad and touching, Madison Square Garden is not really concerned about boxing anymore. They don't even have a boxing department. Here's the place that every fighter wanted to fight in. Joe Louis, Ali Foote, but MSG is really not concerned about boxing anymore, and the Barclays Center has taken over. We have to realize that it'll never be MSG, but I remember I talked to Cloud, and he was going to fight there with Bernard Hopkins. He said, well, you know, the Barclays Center is the new MSG in his mindset. So it's good to see that. It's been a great playing for a lot of great fighters.
Speaking of boxing, also as far as professional boxing, Zab Judah lost to Danny Garcia at the Barclays early this spring. Also, Paulie Malignaggi lost to Adrian Bronner, and Bernard Hopkins fought early this year at the Barclays Center. But let's talk about Zab Judah and Paulie, and what's the outcome next year.
There's nothing really to talk about that. You know, Zab is such a gifted fighter, but it seems Zab just turns it off and on. Paulie won. There's nowhere in the world in that fight you figured that Paulie was going to win that fight. Zab was the harder puncher, the better fighter. Now Paulie Malignaggi, off the Adrian Broner lost last week, Paulie's back in the mix. Now, Paulie was, as I said, that fight was Zab coming to the plate, trying to hit a home run, and Paulie coming to the plate, just trying to hit the ball. And Paulie hit the home run.
Bernard Hopkins.
Well, the oldest man ever to win a world championship. Hopkins is going to fight as long as he can, because today's fighters can't fight. Guys don't know how to fight. Bernard knows how to fight. Bernard stays in shape. He's one of the great champions of all time. And Larry Holmes once told me it's hard to stop doing the best thing you do, and people are going to pay you for it.
Right. And he's the best at it today, basically, especially in his division.
In his division, you're also talking about, everybody talks about Mayweather. But yeah, Hopkins has two things. He stays in shape, he knows the game, and he fights in such a manner he's not going to get hurt.
Okay. Let's talk also in terms of college basketball. It was all about LIU. LIU won the NEC title for the third straight time. So that was unheard of also. This year, great. They're struggling. But
well, you have your ups and downs, but it's great for Brooklyn. It's great for LIU. I would like to see more kids from New York City go to LIU and stay home, and that's probably part of the problem.
But is academics the part?
Well, you have kids, and I think that's really a knock on New York City. I don't think it's fair all the time, because you have some kids that do really well. They pass their SATs, they pass their classes, but they probably don't get the exposure, and that's part of the problem. And it goes back to the media.
Right. Also, their coach Jim Ferry left LIU this year, and he went to Duquesne. So
well,
upgrade.
There you go. That's and like you said. So obviously, coaching makes a difference.
Right.
Raymond Haskins.
No, LIU has done a great job for the last few years, and then that changed. And you just brought up a name, Raymond Haskins. Raymond Haskins set that program on
you never hear about it.
Right,
never, me and Raymond played Little League Baseball together. He was the first baseman. His brother was a catcher, Calvin. I remember my mother told me to go to bed early one night. I hit a home run. I hit a home run the first time up, hit another home run. Raymond was dusting me off. He says, next week I'm going to bed early. And he got him hit a home run.
You talk about a coach with integrity that has his footprints all over a lot of basketball players that have gone on to do some great things. Ray Haskins.
From what I gather, he's coaching or assistant coaching at North Carolina A&T, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference.
Well, I know he's down in North Carolina somewhere inside, but I'm not sure.
He should always have a job in basketball. But what he did for that program, he should be elevated at a higher level. And we should know where Raymond Haskins is for what he did at LIU.
Right. And in terms of baseball, also Grant Street Campus won the PSAL championship, baseball championship. All right. All that set aside, we're going to talk about the NBA. Oh, yeah. Brooklyn Nets.
Do we have enough time?
Get this party started, baby. Let's go.
All right. So now, they got Jason Kidd as the head coach, right? They got Paul Pierce. They got Kevin Garnett. They got everything. But yet, they're not producing.
Well, Will's back. I mean, the backcourt man had to come back. Matthew, when engineer said something here, Garnett and Pierce, you can't lean on them too much. And I think the Nets, as a player, they're going to lean on. If they went out with Doc Rivers in L.A., with that team, they wouldn't have been leaned on as much, and that would have been a better team. They could have worked in that half-court system. A lot is asked of these guys here. And and they didn't have the backcourt guy. They started winning when he came back. Eric, come on in.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because week after week I say the same thing. The older guys are there to get you over the finish line. The younger guys have to step up and get them to the finish line. And they really haven't done it. Now, it has been injuries, but we said once before, nobody cares about injuries in the long run. NBA, no, NBC, nobody cares. So you have to put the injuries aside and really do what you got to do to get these older players to the finish line, and then their experience, their know-how, their intestinal fortitude, their hearts and their heads will get you to a championship.
Real quick, Sodagate, big story.
Oh, man. You're talking about when Jason Kidd asked the guy to spill.
Oh, yeah. It was an old trick, you know.
Jason, you didn't execute that play properly. I think, you know, as we said last time, you watch on the football sidelines when a coach wants to cuss a player out, he puts the clipboard in front of his mouth so you can't read his lips.
Right.
You can't sit there and say, hit me, so that the whole world can see it. So Jason,
well, he's a rookie, so you got. I'm quite sure
you know what? He's
will
getting
do
better
it. So
as a coach. I'm watching him the last couple of games. He's getting better as a coach.
Tremendous point, Eric. Tremendous point.
But let me say this to you. You mentioned something about Deron Williams and the leadership on that court. That has made a major difference just in a few games that he's been back.
He doesn't get the credit for that. Always talk about him being a coach killer. They never talk about his ability on the court.
But let me say one thing about Deron Williams. He's the guy, like, if you're talking about somebody and saying how great they are, let's say he's the greatest point guard or whatever, when you step into Deron Williams' house, he's going to bring it to you. I think the biggest problem with him is consistency, because he rises to the occasion to play against the better players.
Isn't he playing for a coach killer?
Wow.
All right, but you know,
That's
we
the
got to
question,
go.
right?
Okay. Well, Coach Killer knows a Coach Killer. All right, gentlemen, we're out of time. I'd like to thank Vernon Jones, Doc Stanley,
Merry Christmas.
and Eric
Keep
Hicks.
it Christ
Happy
and
holidays for everybody. And that's the year in Brooklyn sports. But next up, oh, that's right, we have.
This is a game used Ozzie Smith, part of my collection.
All right, Doc, let's take us away. All right,
Okay.
next up, 7 of our BK Live hosts are really going to get into it, talking about everything else that happened in the borough in 2013. But first, hey, we're just talking about 1 year. But here's someone from the Listening Project who's talking about a whole life spent in Brooklyn. Meet Sheila Newman. Ozzie. Good?
I'm going to be 76 next month, in March.
And do you feel like at 76 you're still learning?
Yes, I think I'm really very interested in learning more than ever. And I'm interested in keeping up with my writing, even though I'm going to be teaching memoir writing. I've been mainly going over my old memoirs and editing them. And I feel soon I'll be able to write. After my husband died, I just could not write. But maybe I'll, start doing original things again and write a memoir about him. Well, the way I get people to write is I usually start with, I remember, whatever comes into their head. And they make a whole list. It's called a list poem of I remember. And then somehow something comes out that they really want to write about, of all their memories. So that's one way to do it. And often it's just, last Saturday I attended a poetry group, which I go to every Saturday at Kings Highway Library. And I read dieting, my memoir about dieting, because all my life I always tried new diets. And I had never read it out aloud, and I was laughing so much, and it was just, everybody had stories to tell about, the women, because there's mainly women in the group, how they dieted and what they went through. And that, when you tell about something like dieting, it brings in all the memories that go with it in that particular era. Like my last diet was the cabbage soup diet, which was when I was teaching before I retired. A lot of women in the school were on this cabbage soup diet, and each day you have to have this cabbage soup. It's made with tomatoes and pepper, whatever, plus a special menu for each day. One day it's all vegetables, one day it's all fruit, one day it's a mixture, one day it's skim milk and bananas. It's a very weird diet. But, you do lose weight fast. And so everyone, starting with all the way back when I was in high school, my mother and I went on the Mayo Clinic diet. We had to eat 9 eggs a day. So, it's like a history of my life through dieting. And this is what many people in my group do if they pick a topic. My first job, for example, is a wonderful topic, or my first date, my first of anything, or the last of something. And it just triggers off. The whole idea is to have the triggers, and there's so many triggers all around us. And I think that you really get to know a person not through a long autobiography with dates and, you know, and very lengthy material. I think children would be bored if they picked up, I was born March 11th, 1936. I was born in Brooklyn Jewish Hospital, wherever they were born. And no, on and on and on. But I think that it's much more interesting to pick a topic that has a universal appeal. And that's what memoirs are. My prom, you know, because I feel life is just strung together by great moments, you know, and we remember them. And I think it's a wonderful way of reaching out, and perhaps you learn to know yourself very often just by writing about yourself. And it's also you get to trust the people in your group, and you share, and you realize how much we have in common. And the differences just make it more interesting, because if everybody was exactly alike, it would be a very boring existence.